sent it a little while ago. Close the door. Cool. Good. I'm all good. Okay. Are you all good? Advantage was innovation A. Innovation for healthcare on the horizon development as a standardized liability practice for its applications key. Only that balances innovation with safety concerns. Malia and Pre 22. Liability system for A. Liability pension end user and areas of criminal and human but these are just the liability information. Liability becomes unregulated. Liability granted such as unlike A. Potential election. Most of the litigation is creative investment development A. Option A. Healthcare defense for determines liability for injury and sign liability for life recommends treatment accountability should everyone faces the encourage adoption of critical and establish responsibility and diagnose research predictive analysis and use will avoid it. They bear liability for fatal ownership. They blame to design your adopters and learn to be held to share how I will arrived at this conclusion. Anything else broadly? Damage to investment in medical AI application certainty is key. Comments. 18 medical rules making AI responsible for gender, safer to manufacturing, to avoid liability rules that lead to increase the safety of investment record. Recovery for harm. Clear rules must be established and certain average of investment in certain accidents that investment over robotics, leave robotics. The plan is key to every party. Failure to grant person undermines principle and innovative product development. The chunk 17% of principal liability, reducing party liability, individual reducing legal cost recovery provided principal temporary research tag. IBM provided to cover more time uses to make technology great liability scale based on current capabilities course unencumbered the continuously open nature of AI data claiming benefits and additional information discovery. All want to be a party claiming that aggregate access to logs but the current attribution falls revision and hospital being denied and balancing innovation stakeholder help benefit predictability that undermines precision medicine. Chung 17 the incentivized wants to create a benefit wants to healthcare setting that expert diagnosis management and automation research in medicine being reducing more mortality integration AI and talented over by digital cost timing effort to harness investment potential excellent rather than this place expertise and leverage being able to tackle mental crazy more than ever while flexible version insurance capability manufacturers and precision medicine presents biodiversity class works 22% ecotoxicology reduces biodiversity critical and HA demonstrated example physical and biological third predictive biodiversity where habitats increasing significant stress chemicals waste management immaterial modified predictive individual and pollution reduces ecotoxicology here level precision medicine genetics genetic differences efforts supporting environmental management because individual level reference to heat protection goal analysis for any species more cross species population increasingly important base management innovation molecular design hazard chemicals attack variable population response levels of biodiversity class causing section Durzo 22 biodiversity solid dependent ecosystem function gradually chemical cycle variation fabric life biodiversity services population nature cycle quality super control disease personal carbon cycling strong allergic control animal genetic diversity related disease infection microorganisms provide medicine physical protection for machine with relation for humanity economic terms value of nature services is incalculable and evident when humanity cannot survive biodiversity ecosystem functionally or increasing integrating prosperity being when recovery the mass extinction unrealistic precedents key hospitals will successfully incorporate technology because of uncertainty even if they do subsequent litigation will undermine effective innovation capacity. Chung in 17 While should be classified as legal person liability, life clarification, that promises to become under classification litigation for continuing to rather than marriage wants to defend those who are greater access to wants to long life insurance exact moment business design responsibility of the movement there who's involved in patient care making attribution possible that difficult and allow wants to be a party clarity degree involvement establishing deviated from what's recommended insurance claimants on additional wants to rule into insurers making determinations for hospitals like this center and employing any technical calls for representative practical fabrics reasonably manufacturing and practical consequences whether legal science be clarified party clarity complication sugar evidence control analysis of Watson represents not uprising and intelligent and he's accountable. The standard for litigation created by possible burdens of proof when the patient holds any other party liable. That's meant to conversion to new technology, even if the other parties aren't found at fault. C21. Malpractice vicarious liability to respond to serious against company of 3% to general rights of medical AI because we're learning that can be behavior perceivable to the back to AI aspect about whereas medical claim holding a doctor responsible for his unique problem of the clinical complexity not fair see algorithm the results that doctors cannot determine how to make AI can do it to including create uncertainty for doctors the court ever involving city for certain creative situation for the whole liability filling news and errors rapid diagnosis and response to has serious consequences in the hospital it's like purchase AI to equipment risk of adopting new technology that they will put in the bill creating environmental environment very hesitant investigators denying for fair litigation mistakes and litigation for found the vice about to make his doctors for data for litigation on medical claim for accident liability has been applying to innovation law manufacturers keeping potential liability from marketing defects. So the plan the United States should give medical artificial intelligence a legal duty of care to the patient advantage to his trust. Patients don't trust AI application in healthcare specifically because accountability and decision-making concerns, only addressing the consequences for the black log decision-making can solve Langani, Kadario, and Morio 21. A healthcare application in the medical AI can have AI understand how AI makes mental decision view, decision making as a black man, understanding how the doctor makes a decision, inflated understanding how AI makes a decision, and unfit explanation because that was already full of letters and black box was limited understanding the decision making by providers. Accountability is key to patient trust, any alternative to holding the AI until irresponsible weakens. Assurance how we all 20 to go for the healthcare accountability information research and clinical providing care that you can somehow control of AA patient will not know want to know why recommendation were followed by condition developing and needs meaning AA that's little to except we can accountability absent or control or AI capacity system but it's becoming important that actual versus challenges become the engineer. The AI itself isn't held liable, patients often get in their care small the AI and also one of the becoming imperative examine liability when errors occur in the AI cannot be held liable and that's for patient like I said earlier who can be held liable is created patient AA to clear head who can be responsible regulation recording who's held liable. Accountability for AA decision making is a key internal link as small. The AA also when accountability major concern about the AA patient that concerned about liability should become very nervous to know who is responsible legal concern surrounding who's only kind of liability complexity becomes higher aspect of liability when options are recommended or dismissed higher proceeded liability issue greater with especially with AI recurring clear policy to identify responsibility. This key to patient understanding and acceptance of AI equalize the relationship between patient and providers can call it 18. Liability technologies available to operate and produce origin competition victim without becoming sustaining insurance entity without providing flood only damage operating low consequence basis of self-learning or lucky does not require creation of field malpractice applied avoiding case by case assessment to identify the agent is victim of tinker accident involved by agent of patient care claiming to gain a deeper understanding of AI ability to lead a wrongful diagnosis treatment institutional adopt the events AI discreet and increase under procedural frameworks and events today by missions of administration level and human interventions required malpractice tools applies to with the claim manufacturer of the court. The claim great speed and efficiency for patients that solves responsibility and accountability by giving patients are a predictable avenue for redress. That's C21. Liability for personal patient known to how liability allowing the patient breaks as soon as possible granting person other patient will then be able to directly allow patients to redress bill that insurance might expand to cover medical malpractice, medical aid would be insured as a doctor malpractice insurance covers all the costs of the lady in the practice all patient making time to through hospital pay insurance premium insurance taking care of the AI personal life protects against injury per loan for the AI swap process adopting adopting person coupled with the insurance liability handled by the algorithm prosecuting simplified AI principle of against duty against negligence kind of federal eliminating confusion. Naming the responsible parties key how no 5 minutes which has to print the instrumental for insurance criteria relation criteria and submission patient not submit that examination for building company under treatment just test the for a lot of data concern with the punishment and creation that is students who provide any occur the connection between the line and trust the mainland liability and most effective way legal system prevent trust whether it is ability so it sways the set the material original medical error and injury question the teacher doctor insurance and corrective justice the just based level of medical care that take into account. My computer's being really weird. Yeah. Sorry, it was only visible, but it was like glitching. Okay, it's good now. I have myself at 150. That's cool. Okay. That's key to every aspect of preparedness and responsibility. Also, to depending on large time healthcare spread, with being intensive prevalence, pandemic, obviously, investigate preparedness response strategy quickly, BDA, making possible study of security, physical pandemic strategy, discover vaccine and treatment, forecast optimizations, and decision making animal, administration rules or algorithms, AI, and healthcare. In healthcare, makes media similar to automating data, make raw data, meaningful decision making. The application of investment cloud computing rights instead of retrieval of the access to larger foster to be that case of bloody health to go to make the normal decision. Extinction, it came at also when average from human life, represents simulation experience, strategy, and every total of human hour studies, leading to an extinction of life, all back, starts Ebola, and the large population that we're seeing increase in mobility for humankind, except with real world, will affect the representative previous study based on the model, however, not considered a quantitative study, we consider better studies, characteristics of builder, destroying advantages, the human extinction of the diet, Canadians, he did control, driving the epidemic, prevalent to it. Can you grab the card that I read? That's what I was last time. Yeah. The risk of category underestimated. Pillman Armstrong 15 is disease, one of the greatest causes of mortality in history. Majority will die from the single largest, the greatest probabilities of the features of nature and care about fatal disease and infection, long incubation period combined with the individual will be extremely moderate for disease population and infectious disease spread rapidly, political lag, disruption, economic dislocation, damage to the trade, fragmentation of society, recovery impossible, human systems to other risks of climate change and further epidemics.
It's doing the thing I can't.
The plan creates a clear risk allocation framework that abandons an inconsistent case-by-case based analysis, which increases adoption. Yanisky, Robin, and Professor 22. It claiming advertising respect all started to push the liability, human rights, but justify a lot in academic theories instead of use of AI or operating available device or where the user of more time for frustrating. This is allocated for the player, release of the role of responsibility, hospital, that are responsible, which incur the data that makes master benefit to invest because that they are not liable with instead of they creating more devices without pressure that liability on the current generate consistently, they keep the case based on multiple devices, so they're most provide visual by the world AI is providing better human having safety and having a human doctor. Human doctor is like 5 words from the back.
Cool. Could you send that before press 6?
Yeah. Okay, I sent it.
You good?
Yeah.
The plan says legal duty of care to the patient. Is this a legal standard that be imposed by the plan?
What do you mean by legal standard? Like
What is the test that courts would use to determine if the duty of care has been met?
Oh, any medical malpractice laws would apply. The current law that applies to a resident is what would apply to artificial intelligence assisting with any medical treatment.
Got it. But I'm asking, how do you know whether a duty of care has... So artificial intelligence has a duty of care to the patient. How do you know whether artificial intelligence is liable or somebody else in the operating room if the damages are incurred?
a question of whether the code in the AI was the fault of the manufacturer or the fault of the AI because of the
how is
black box
that
problem.
assessed?
How is that assessed?
Yeah.
Our evidence says that, like, I think it was Rule 16 under criminal law, Rule 32 under civil law, and there's like tests in place that courts use to go through the coding of AI to point. Our argument is not that the AI is like so autonomous that it's not traced to the manufacturer. Our argument is that it's making decisions that manufacturers can't necessarily decide. Or
Got it.
people
So
can't decide.
let me get this clear. After the AI commits malpractice and a consumer wants to seek redress, so they launch a suit, courts would have to look at the AI code, determine if the AI was at fault, and have to determine whether the manufacturer...
Well, the courts wouldn't be doing that. Like, in the discovery process in court, it's disclosed. The courts can bring in experts.
Okay.
It's something the courts can bring in experts for any
Okay,
issue.
it's the fact-finding process in the
Yeah,
courts.
exactly.
Is there a scenario in which the developer or the manufacturer of the AI could be found liable after the plan?
Yeah, if the courts determine, or the expert determines that a reasonable person could have foreseen that there was some sort of error in the way that the AI was coded.
Okay, and is that the same as the medical malpractice duty of care, or is that a different standard?
It's the same standard.
It's the same
Well,
standard.
whatever would constitute medical malpractice.
Got it. What makes a legal framework sufficiently certain to foster investment?
Well, our argument now is that because of the black box problem that I explained earlier, manufacturers are risk averse because they know that the applications, both to build the medical AI and also for hospitals to use and incorporate them into surgeries and like procedures, is like very risky because
Right, I
of
got that
reasons, yeah.
warrant. Basically, like, how do you know the plan is sufficiently certain to assuage that risk averse?
Well, just when it's easy for manufacturers to be able to assess the risk that they're taking when they're selling any technology and in what instances they can avoid being held liable, which is...
Why is it easy for the
reasonable certain
manufacturer
criteria.
to determine whether or not they'd be found liable?
That's the
after
last
plan?
part we read. It says that it creates a clear delineation of what they are expected to do and in which instances they won't be held accountable. And in this instance, it's the black box problem. So if the AI changes, like for example, the way that the variables are weighed in an algorithm that it uses, and without the like consent of a manufacturer, they did not program it to do that, or they did not have foreseen a mistake, they would not be held liable.
One more question. Can you explain the internal link between AI treating patients at the doctor and effective response to existential pandemics?
The Galetti card indicates that there are forms of AI in medical systems that are in the rise now, but the reason that they are not is because the adoption has not increased. Our argument.
Why does that mean the U.S. can stop an existential pandemic?
People are just more likely to report sicknesses that they have, and we can look at them at the molecular like composition of whatever they're infected with, which is one can identify new pathogens.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know you had that.
It's 6 advantage 2 advantage 1.
You can.
Yeah. Thank you. No. Well, let me find the paper I haven't written on.
a human decision maker requires autonomy that goes beyond strict rule following IA 20 IA. It's been thorough haphazardly here. Definition or restriction of rules. The RPA needs if that's is not limited by rules and capable of judgment on analysis, extrapolation, assessment, not based on any predetermined criteria and forms. A decision maker is supposed to remove all violation of the plans of best rights and fully autonomous AI because they still require human input but next for limits or interpretation. Does not assessing rights into any computer or electronic system which roads class and no fault counted by the United States hold manufacturers and users of medical artificial intelligence liable for their torts unless they meet a legal duty of care to the patient. Those who meet these standards should be indemnified from liability for such torts and associated damage should be redressed through no fault compensation. Only the category fosters adoption, safety, innovation. Turn 22 adoption remains tepid AI liability insurance can mitigate liability risk in a way that aligns with the interest of healthcare vehicles. Insurance will encourage high quality AI insurance, reduce uncertainty with liability risk and increase innovation. Insurance plays a key role in healthcare market. Market for AI liability insurance like an impact incentive for adoption fosters the growth of AI in the healthcare industry more broadly. AI liability insurance is the adoption of AI to reduce error for human decision maker without liability insurance practitioners and healthcare organizations like yours will hesitate to use AI tools. The automation inside the planet enables mass automation to work in NTA. Everyone's society legal person to the next step is to AI everyone's rights. They implement lots of these specific AI rights making possible AI achieve compared to human workers, replacing human workers as public relations about because need dialogue covered which the language of rights offers by establishing more equivalence between robots and people making the rights replacement of human workers seem more just. Mass rapid automation triggered deflationary crisis. Mass 20 of automation wage cuts into the place of the logic of the software and 6 consumers lose out as producers starting to economic struggle. The economy slow down violent inflation, lower price of pay, unlimited spend leading to cheaper prices used in the 30s spend the problem of automation millions may be replaced there is an ecological crisis they use less carbon deflation driven collapse flames every nuclear diet and causes environmental collapse extinction by 21 scissors cascade crashes profit by the mid-20s I'm in and quantities of depression stability depends on middle element middle class unemployment disaffection more with the anarchy produced industry with alignments rising acid room code is like summer smoldering stress anything can deadline work across nuclear plants no with the accident more country modernization presence threats to the environment and the Chernobyl the corporate risk the stress workers contaminate food people rights workers also resort to waste that we can like use systems services maybe hijack the environment also really sort of monopolies causes behind World War II depression a risk including the Israel China no control India Pakistan nuclear war nuclear confrontation with North and Russia the right trip decide legal duties for AI snowball and substance rights Chelsea easy robot I think it's true can they sue us in higher classes even small issue point of electric concern creep there's an injured treaty for something other than property relative to foundation becomes something right parents corporation party unique size the start of mass rights culminating conditional the constitutional protection given our path and legal system all decision I cannot significant ramification how we think rights will require conditional justice will require everything made of law this is under my goal and can only intersect through containment the plan makes this impossible causing a cascade of destructive risks to call it 18 risks are destructive anyone leads after anyone from near to super intelligence technological advantage the determinant institutional change challenge and then coordination will be more difficult than contribute out of control AI causing extra risk AI and the goal is manipulated well-being expected humans to prevent it AI capabilities given room defenses via e-warfare disrupting the industrial system using nukes by warfare manipulation elections anyone the question of hard pursuit of humanity proposal of limiting AI is restrict ability to communicate influence with war known as boxing company the commodity motivation to constrain or to contain with safeguards AI personality merits not the results no supervision control to the extent AI companies with sex over the pressure transfer control to the AI personality give them rights no to buy property crime with businesses to rise of AE terrorism would be free from pressure or threat AI can only capable of autonomy class to take over after requiring influence terrorist strike limiting humanity governance voluntary turnover to AI that do catastrophic damage the consultative rulemaking counterpoint the United States ought to initiate negotiated rulemaking regarding with the medical artificial computing system should have the legal duty of care to the patient with the participation of experts in a diverse range of affected stakeholders and enable the outcome be a participative regulation backed up by a neutral non-spector specific enforcement mechanism with the power to revise regulation based on the participative process consultative rulemaking solves short and to conflicts emerge and then between groups and close group may be considered an insult to be told that the ASC job is to be granted the right to do such a may be added to anomalies versus new light inside the return to new laws may be growing people like robots to take it out of the balance of challenge concerning technology raise acceptable can be overcome technology for concept rulemaking for instance the counterpoint unlocks the collaborative model and that's vital for active regulation the plan displaces it with adversarial relation that cause regulatory failure taking 19 regulatory rules provide an adversarial legalism make regulation cost the costly and inflexible amount no invokes hostility on remedies more cooperative non adversarial reduce reliance on formal no rules emphasis standards emphasize standard and implement jointly attacking towards regulated slow assistance and people facilitated acceptance no the norm statutes authorities enforcement against violators of initial conflict regulatory state failure due to rigidity and bureaucratization insurance extinction peglum no 19 extinction climate AGI biotech and nukes with interconnected civilization self government challenge complexity overwhelming bureaucratization paradigm top down command no are obsolete in the face of assumptions governance no have to contend with boundaries governance repurpose restore the shackles off materials or resources we need new thinking the shareholder privacy counterpart the United States should hold it getting medical artificial intelligence and legal duty of care is unlawful on the grounds of dropping non-human legal persons it commits and then solves the counterpart to best rights from corporation by 20 shareholder privacy eradicates incentive to be responsible to anyone else who should responsibility the law that sets lead the unlawful power on challenge insurance investment management remain disciplines accountability and then eradicates incentive to remain law abiding section makes it possible to hold individuals accountable to the person which treated as against that is legal subject to law the nomination of shareholder privacy is the corporate and then to the corporation is capable of destroying the world creating a person that does not have the same responsibility as you or I and then towards legal purpose to max assets hide wealth and invent rubber personality avoid liability personality is crucial for egos the corporation encourages destruction of the environment and the structure of the corporation makes the destruction inevitable the corporation minimizes the chance of any outcome of the destruction of the environment shareholder privacy lacks in the convergence of existential crises Y20 cycle of corporate pollution the corporate solutions repeating itself up
5 largest oil corporations invested $1 million in misleading climate lobbying terrorists, which used to directly block climate policy on climate financial protection, assuming contributed profitability 5% increase in temp on ingredient dealer with the limited corporation across the economy, not just energy. Any limited corporation would be a prerequisite. Shareholders, owners, and investors should be fully responsible for the image. We need to end corporations that remove the rights and privileges of owners and shareholders to get rid of corporation industry. First circle, the trusted advantage one, the app gives designers of medical AI liability shield terms of case by 22 measure versus short fees on the play, given they would be receptive to engage risk of safety on the insurance and insurance major standards to take away the truth of also undermines the control in a situation where insurers are not induced to take optimal care. The existence of problem induces insurers to engage more frequently, so the action of the agents are foreseeable design and running unforeseeable development experience of any shortages liability costs and shortages make it some inadequate the evolution of AI can undermine the effectiveness of insurance AI activity levels. Research likes that the contributing excessive risk taking insurance products all not providing adequate remedy to all causes of AI trust liability 19 results in the short term reluctance across procedures when care was provided by AI rather than human patients were less likely to use as a service and wanted to pay for less for having a human to perform the service even if there will be greater risk of inaccurate diagnosis or resistance to medical AI stand for but with the AI not taking account of user characteristics and circumstances people view themselves as unique people are people see medical AI is inflexible and standardized and surveyed over 703. Their study ignores most of the population and lists us of all causes to clinical trial participation. One EC as well as 20 concert of AI to participants showed believe AI leading communication barriers and human interaction. People perceive privacy because of perception and anonymity to be reiterated increase privacy information patients control the info may be shared without permission. The individual may not trust deep learning. Patients cannot understand inside workings of regulatory concerns or critical policy yet or not yet transparent agencies should establish official policy guidelines regarding AI. There's a need to formalize standards of evaluate AI safety and theoretically can lead to high risk belief developers in marketing. They came as a supposed protection and explain about huge check ethical regulatory concerns so much sense and critically coding for their internal link is absurd. The idea that patients will direct treatment because they don't know if they can sue the AI would be life threatening for them. Obviously no incentive to fight. AI can't solve pandemics. 20 years I'm used for tracking predicting diseases. Institute of big ideas infection could spread social media noise which has to be no filtered for any algorithm that runs past behavior or goal outlay with a massive new unprecedented can be encrypted modern AI being insured to be humans are the share resort of big data humans AI focus are not yet accurate reliable 6 known disease and backward 20 global and cost short of being detected humanity biological research passenger are likely to lead to extinction of these age correlation with infections and the infections and lead down extreme rare that kills more than 75% tendency to become less virulent optimal variance utilization recovered by 50% debt rather than precipitated collapse gives a reasonable civilization can make it through future events even if it global strongest gets external with a possible record risk about 0.1% is incompatible with how long humanity has lasted innovation advantage one the healthcare ecosystem is carefully adopting AI which solves the case that not the 20 healthcare areas should promise even rates emerging in the sector so cautious systemic application would take into consideration of problems in bias tests and clinical settings AI tools which in the future AI potential further accelerate vaccine development AI continue the balance much more the practice with the way AI across the full ecosystem integrate every step and the AI skills trend to people learning from project data sets the humans must govern AI to guide for bias towards explaining what deploying AI responsible for trust AI companies must guard against illegal liability to all causes provider adoption goal track 22 advance let speculation AI will have a large effect on health despite there's been little adoption 1 and 2 is 1250 job missing required AI neural networks are difficult to understand all the bias like transmission reduce trust out providing performance is condition of the quality of data secondaries limited access data difficult to collect access for not compatible with the cost of providers and facility sets can be difficult to promote this means providers are slower to take up 3 the act cannot solve internationally matters far more than just the US 4 current approaches to flexible and solve Hubbard 16 the content of the legal rules always integral to some extent implementation of communication rulings the limited present future the fact that this county submit all applications even precise rules cannot be changed liability product distribution based on the cost benefits based on the accidental cost of safety cost tests to provide safety value internalize the cost of wrongdoing the legal system has been balancing innovation safety century litigation not innovation nor in robotics we don't common work settings to against distributors beyond the cycle of litigation or manufacturing and computerization of automobiles litigation of little negative impact despite litigation intuitive surgical could be successful innovation appears to pass 5 the after solve it's impossible to determine what the physical vessel is for AI 22 thorny nature figure out legal person have machines that are autonomous that are semi-autonomous getting if related be annoyed with legal person related to its mind role you can interact with the controversial AI system is part of illegal for a person and holder similar problem how much AI is enough to legal person in 6 so many environmental all causes AB 20 negative laws after saving because some of the habitats more trouble than everything in score card the worst 20 targets are available to be actually targets that cause with mammals birds amphibians and fish classic 8% of 17 2016 one of the challenges of meeting biodiversity targets in countries and natural assets those with money to enforce protection biodiversity and being poor and wealthy countries need to be willing to provide support 7 no internal link after about hospital adoption of precision medicine which has nothing to do with the adoption of precision medicine for biodiversity 8 no environment impact for 18 risk automation biodiversity is little and in local direction altering ecosystem they don't put it extra data small scale there's little evidence of biodiversity leaving declining local scale biodiversity declining by local biodiversity same species for household reprehensible velocity biodiversity to half the local to stay stable what because of random civilizations nations increase in waste and pollution is causing circulating waste products decline cut waste products decline
Okay, you get it.
yeah
Status of the counterclaims.
status quo is always an option
Net benefits and no fault.
it is automation and rights group and liability shield I guess or actually not liability shield rights group and automation
Who pays into the insurance fund for the no-fault
the
claim?
government would generate the money
How? Taxes?
yeah I mean just like how you spend for anything
Okay, so the government would tax people to raise the
No, it wouldn't. I mean, normal means for funding could come from a variety of sources, including pork bill funding,
Okay.
Would they
other
cut the
sources
budget
of
from
general
somewhere else?
budgets.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's erroneous to specify how much funding would be required.
I guess I'm kind of confused how automation is a net benefit to no fault. The Dworkin card, last part is about replacing human workers. I assume in order to solve the AF, it would do that, right?
No, it's about the moral equivalence created between humans and robots.
Okay.
Rights and duties are the only thing that can create that because it is
Sure.
treated, artifactual entity is the
Okay.
same as a human.
T, what AI exists that can replace a human decision maker?
AI that is fully autonomous,
Like-
so AGI is an example of that.
So, okay, AGI exists now.
I mean, it could exist. The point of a lot of these
Okay,
apps
but
is that they're speculative
yeah.
regulation. The app is not one of those, though. It deals with medical,
Right,
forms of
so
medical AI that are not
Topical
autonomous.
AF under this T interp could be giving rights or duties to an AI that could be AGI in the future but is not AGI now.
There are plenty of apps like that. The criminal liability app is an excellent example of that.
Okay.
You don't have to, like, the thing, our interp is not, it has to exist now. It's just that the mandate of the plan has to affect only autonomous AI. So it's like, you could have said that there was medical AI that will be AGI or autonomous in the future and say that, the plan affects that, but you can't just say medical or artificial.
That makes sense. Automation decided working card first line quote AI robots will slide into legal personhood. Do you have to win the spillover link on the other side?
Because it's about the moral equivalence giving businesses a justification to do more automation.
What's the internal link to automation and the economy?
Deflation.
Can you explain?
Explain.
Sure, it's that the economy's had a downward spiral where prices drop, there's lower pay, and there's an unwillingness to spend, which means that the economy doesn't grow.
Okay.
Okay. Rights creep decide. What's the warrant for why duties cause correlative rights?
Armichalski evidence says that it sets a precedent that could build on the foundation that the plan generates, and it gives corporations as an example of that. Corporations started with limited rights, but it resulted in a creep of rights because once you set the precedent of this is a legal entity that can have the status of rights and duties, it results in more.
Okay, sure. No fault kind of fun again. How do the courts delineate between like the first and second part of the comp plan?
Well, so the courts would see if the duty of care has been met.
How do they
If
do that?
think-
Do they
The same
look-
way the app does.
Okay,
Your
but
plan text
no.
says duty of
Okay,
care.
I
so
want
if
to
you're
cover
going
though.
to court,
The comp plan, does it go through the code of the AI to determine it for a reasonable person?
I mean, like, the same question can go to you. You
Okay,
can't contest the duty of care part of
I'm
the
just
counterplan
clarifying
because
this
your
is-
plan text says duty of care.
10, sorry.
Yeah, can you slap that? Yeah. Just, I'm sorry, I'm curious.
Yeah. Stop at 7.
computer's not letting me attach docs to my emails. So I have to save it all in an old doc and rename it each time.
Just came through. Just got it. Yeah.
Okay, the order is case in order only C, T, the no fault counterplan, the banned corporate personhood counterplan, the regneg counterplan, the spillover dissad, and then the automation dissad. Okay. Is anyone not good?
Okay.
I'm gonna let everyone figure this out. Okay. When it's more than not adopting other evidence is AI is being underinvested because of lack of data, which makes its tech ineffective. The plan solves that because more people accept it in their treatment, which means that the computers algorithms get better over time. 1 and C2, same answer as 1 and C1. The only issue here is lack of effectiveness, which you resolve. 1 and C3, domestic biodiversity conservation insufficient to get past tipping points. That's the 1 and C internal link card says. We can get on the international protocols and we bring the US over the brink. 1 and C4, not about medical AI corporations are not linked to internalized costs and are approved by the whole first advantage. Do not sign the technology because it's too expensive. 1 and C5 does not assume Watson and medical malpractice law, which is very easy for courts to interpret because it builds on existing judicial precedents. That's the last 1 and C. Card 1 and C6, no one causes our argument is about restoring the ecosystem preservation and walks back on existing harms, which means that we can effectively contain the current biodiversity we have. 1 and C7, it spills over developing tech in the humans. It's how people develop proof of concept using tech for animals. It's very, very similar for humans. In some species and populations, there's intent, but they don't have the technology. Not biting loss, cause extinction, future nutrition, nutrient cycle, pest control, dispersal, generation, reproduction, genetic diversity, contains the spread of disease, erosion, causes total extinction. That's the zero evidence and trust. Advantage, the liability shield turn 1, the affluent intrinsic current application toward law makes false determination impossible because no entity can be found responsible for damages caused by black box AI. The claim creates accountability by allowing the responsible party to be held at fault. That's called competence and shielding. Is the scope 8, the 18 intent to carry theft of all machines of no intent, the most weakly is what goes to have amazing interesting about the designer black box AI manufactured walls of the creators AI do things creators are able to predict intent tests become impossible to satisfy laws cease to function because tests appear the penalties are most severe the most dangerous. How do we go American AI will be exempt from our laws? 2 proves only we solve the plaintiff's responsible. Transparent and safe AI developing manufacturers will avoid technical failures and accidental liability rules, cost safety, investments for harm for carbon that's going to cause evidence, and insurance premiums. That hospitals will only buy the safest technology, which also shields the link. No internal link. Their evidence is about granting full personhood to all AI. The plan is a narrow grant of rights for medical AI. They've not read it's still required here on this turn. No process to trust nobody. Evidence about people not understanding how AI works. Again, we solve that through disclosure. The small card just says that people want doctors to administer the AI instead of using like an app that doesn't allow them to interact with the human at all. Not the app. They feel safer accepting the treatment if there's recourse. Not sufficient because it shows that doctors have faith in the systems. That's plus 20 C card, which means that people will start using the AI post-plan pandemics, cause extinction, population density, interconnectedness, and increasing lethality, cause rapid spread that kills large section of the population. People survive the initial wave ripple effects, cause extinction, which they can read defense to. That's the common evidence. C. When we play next back easily subject to standard 2, we meet the appetite of Longoni 20 when artificial touches they know how the police are diagnostic county. While they filled to consumers, major barrier to adoption, consumer trust medical ALS 3, counter interpretation, AS computers doing tasks that require human intelligence, code 22, artificial intelligence is built in computer robot controlled by computer do tasks that require human intelligence, AS can match humans in specific tasks includes ANI, AGI, and ASI, or no data test artificial intelligence, artificial super intelligence, prefer one app rather than intercause still base. It makes app impossible because it's only about apps about things that do not exist yet. You precision the card says that people conflate AI and RPA in terms of their capabilities, but does not say that RPA is not AI or has any intent to exclude over limits rights pick. Silver dissad states kind of insolvent evidence created neg bias topic 4 reasonability interpretation leads to arbitrary substance credit the no fault counterclaim. One permutation equals other kind of request conferring personhood it links to that benefit or fails to do so. And can reason possible work for effective redress the impact that is 40,500 just years. People are misdiagnosed with disease because the AI does not work properly. 2 links to that benefit the consequence determination of fault requires name with the IZ fed or creates a broader liability shield which links to the turn on case. 3 permute the counterclaim. 4 does not solve innovation add liability key predictability. False termination is impossible now. Not bidding it altogether generates more uncertainty. It's key to manufacturing development and physician application. That's Chung and Zinc doesn't solve trust, doesn't create accountability. Only the plain lost patients are wholly accountable for disease which underpins trust in clinical care broadly. The kind of one causes doctors to follow AI blindly or ignore it altogether. Either one arose trust as how we solving that is key. It's the largest factor for patient risk aversion to medical AI applications. Identifying the AI as a responsible party lowers lowers the risk belief for patients and health benefits as well. It also cancels out complexity, makes cases too hard, and creates a goose chase in the courts that make it too costly for people to sue for damages in the first place. The counterpoint in the road's legal system, Turner 18, the need for legal personality depends on independent traditional theories increasing difficulty. The law is not equipped to address legal issues to arise within machines caused injury. There's no principles and legal question about autonomous machines or without personality to recommend principles in different direction taking. A human or corporate also rare the specific integrity of the legal system as a whole. Mark the card at hold that outweighs more 18 countries. Total education to protect independent states with education way to end the dispute court contract conflict resolution. When states resolve the interstates disputes country turn to legal venue to prevent the threats of force rule of law has come to shade the states forming norms about legitimate or that generates compliance. Hold settlement can help coordinate policies. Mark the card at policies conditionalize the better unique rules and causes time to be makes it possible. The app on condo solves the personhood ban counterclaim. One doesn't solve the app causes massive uncertainty within businesses that deters from investment because they no longer have protections of corporate law. Two, a corporate versus the essential core corporate accountable alternatives are far worse. Greenfield 15 is listening without percentage for outrage. But we look just a lot of an issue and individual to humans no human being will have no money to compensate those harmed against the corporate entities on the hope there's no chance of real compensation for responsibility. Personhood is mechanism for enforcing accountability. Yeah, I got that. For approaching accountability by Friday deep pocket to sue opposite questions rights over power of corporations. Have no rights over real powers that is taxed with the power can be abused. Permutation. I let it didn't have it. Oh, here it is. Permutation due to plain divest rights from corporations. Lucas will send the text in the email chain 4 perm the counterclaim 5 perm both the counterclaim cost the economy and 16 liability. Ability to generate capital traction of employee shareholders don't have to fear that the business will avoid financial mitigates financial finances and starting a business and its economic growth. Corporations tax at lower rates sustainably grow the economy and kernels democracy. Singer 22 we doubt that the president are appropriate despite tweeting that the apple just causes misguided person is a future of non-business organization including small companies, corporates, non-profits, worship, municipalities and states that enable society to function all which we find difficult to commit to assets, contractor assets, of course, a corporate person was abolished. Personhood is known for collective action, providing democratic empowerment, seeking abolish corporate personhood, ill-conceived, these should focus on which rights the court, not corporations' rights bearing as persons. There's no environment impact, saw 19 shareholders' preferences and laws. Admitting ESG disclosures present an opportunity for bringing allowing shareholders into corporate citizens to the courts of public interest, managing demographics of public investment, coming more to the long-term sustainability company for socially responsible investment underwriting assumptions. Mark the card at assumptions, the redneck counterclaim. Doesn't solve certainty, clear regulations, key to investor and hospital confidence, otherwise threat liability deters innovation and utilization of technology, permitting kind of less complete by tax, and function anything else is voted for app card and predictability because of an infinite number of policies with contrived that benefits permutation to the app and to a redneck over granting artificial intelligence a duty that solves the internal benefit. It's not, it's functionally attached to legitimate for permit both, it solves the internal benefit as well. Consultation is bad, hurts 20, goals of noticing a process, taking the process is let every voice be heard, more successful agencies with less any individual voice talking through everyone can speak, it is very hard to be heard, involved in conference, messy, hard to hear places, a lot of shouting. Voice feels the goal is not to hear individual voice, repetitive comments are not helpful, mark the card helpful, no spillover to internal benefit, they have no evidence of using it once. Leads a broad spillover, the spillover decide, personhood solves it, saying 17 a.m. must be trained technical personally, taken accountable, enable legal systems to tackle challenges, no requirement to make substantial changes, the act can be held liable for some action to program will save, develop a single person to ensure their links are prepared for the change, to ensure their interactions are harmonious and benefits among human beings and persons found to take under individual legal personality, lifting a corporate bill can be adopted, leads to deterrence, starts 19 inch under really arguing false, and sometimes other actions as independent petitioning and introduce unrestricted general deterrence against developers, owners, and users of provide incentives to avoid creating all AIs that cause harm to provide, but it's what is incentivized parties to modify their behavior. No one can put as a narrow issuance of liability that cannot be applied to other cases, knocking out 22 allocating capacities, or justified as legal personhood. This is how to solve this race of having justified denying rights, which is one of the negative aspects of full personhood laws. Treating entities for particular purpose, not others on account of which can be mobilized in not all incidents, or take this makes the borders. Where the issue setting criteria is a paradox, no single incident adding make a difference. Personhood is a listed rather than a sufficient criteria. Mark the card at criteria. Omitted case can block explains to judicial interpretations. Code is 21 wrong approach back something the statute and any situation by judgment law does not find also in the statute. Court lacks authority to go beyond the text of the statute to stretch the statute areas that the statute does not cover. Mark the card at cover. AGI is inevitable, which makes the impact inevitable. They can see this on the T debate. We'll read a card later on. Otherwise, that's your argument made no sense. We'll read a card if we need to later on. The automation decide. No link one, the claim reducing malpractice laws and it suits against healthcare employees and hospitals are providing recourse mechanisms against AI that's strong as well. The average worker not even hear a whisper about the claim 2, no link unique is odd. 21 is not straightforward to describe inequality. AI and labor shares already shares are worse than during the 80s when there was AI which little innovation rather than too fast or too much contribute to inequality because of globalization, erosion of union power. Others say declining labor shares not a result of AI but superstar firms using automation didn't play a role that should not be taken to apply. If the AI has significant impact, then AI's effect on automation technology has empirical evidence on AI is lacking. 3, COVID recession fears make the impact on until GDP decline course more closely to last layoffs and the Moffitt evidence is about international inequality causing collapses and causing dips in the economy, not about the domestic economy, which makes the impact inevitable. Automation reduces inequality and strengthens the economy. Warsaw 17 about AI increase inequality. Another form of automation is emphasized the contrary automation of farming led to more food automation. Something led to decreasing what makes whatever producing produces more equitably available. Only a minuscule fraction social terms and technological advances capture and produces most of the benefits of technology passed on to to consumers open to increase in inequality. The only economic crime that matters is inequality of consumption. The next an overwhelming spell willing to establish this is that imposing duties on medical AI innovations that aid in healthcare work. It does not replace or lead to all broad duties of AI or to any perception link, which is they have to win this silver link to win this dissad. Is there a code you want me to read? Economic decline doesn't cause more wall 2019. I think the economic decline impacts the war. Depression is caused where there'd be a lot more US suffered 40 after 20 wars, not related to the economy. National leaders would avoid war than long, but in certain matter. Economic decline leaders will not go to war unless quickly, cheaply, with this as motivate for security and offer gain. Every war starts competitive war, not a conquest. Mark the card in conquest. AI does not displace human labor or donate with the world economic conflicts or export more, estimating that 85 million dollars displace that shift in labor, even more roles will open up such as to 97 million better opportunities for early career professionals. The more computers train repetitive tasks, the more roles with competitive salaries will rise a wide range of careers. People enter the workforce will struggle because they have to compete without senior candidates. So we disadvantage appears as new types of roles are created.
Was that added or was it already created?
The I created was the end of the card.
Cool. Great.
And then let me send that stuff out.
Yeah.
I sent the card and then the perm text.
Can you like send the marks?
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
I sent the perm text for edit testing.
Just let me know when you have it.
Reasons to reject the team.
Conditionality and process counterclaims.
Conditionality, process counterclaims. Got it. Real quick on trust advantage, you said that the plan results in insurance premiums that ensure safe development. What evidence do you have that private insurance solves are in the 1AC?
Hospitals would buy the insurance for the.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
The
I'm saying
chunk
what-
evidence then says that they would
Chunk
be insured
evidence?
and malpractice liability, like law would
Sure.
cover them the same as residents.
Gotcha. No fault
Even just
count.
point out resident.
Okay. No fault counterclaim. You said that AI liability is key to manufacturer development. What 1AC internal link is about manufacturer development?
The first advantage is
You,
not
you
manufactured
read
development.
no. You read two advantages about the uptake of AI, hospitals and.
Our argument is that
physicians.
people
What
are
is that?
investing in research and development for medical AI now because people are getting sued, which means it's too costly to make the technology.
Okay. Why does the AI need to name, or sorry, why do patients need to name the AI as a plaintiff if the counterpoint ensures they're compensated when
The
the AI
Hadley
commits
evidence
errors?
and the Hall evidence says that there's like a psychological benefit to being able to point
Why
out
would
who
patients
did
care
harm.
about psychological benefits in court
Anybody
if they're
would,
getting
right? If you go to a
compensated?
doctor and they botch a surgery, you want to be able to like punish that doctor because you're mad about it. Somebody
Okay,
handing
so
you
everyone,
cash.
so this is
Like,
like
you can't put
Hammurabi's code.
monetary-
Everyone wants
you
an
can't
eye
put-
for an eye.
It's
That's
the
what
way
you
the
need
medical
there.
system works. Like it's a complex psychological issue and it deals with how comfortable people feel getting medical
It also
treatment.
implicates the internal link, which is AI winter. So if they just get paid out, it doesn't increase adoption.
True. The internal link is about broader than just people accepting the individual surgery. So even people get paid out, they'd be like, my neighbor used Watson and like he had a heart attack, but then he got $50 or whatever. That's no one's gonna want to use the AI because it doesn't work.
Okay, and which card substantiates this psychological study?
The Hadley evidence, I'm pretty sure, or is it the Hall?
And Hall.
The
Wait,
whole-
sorry, why doesn't that AI winter stuff apply to the AF? Like, if a bad AI is created after the AF and people are
Well, our argument is
people
that
only receive 50
That
bucks
AI,
after it
that
goes
AI
through.
decreases because of the insurance premiums creating market competition between companies. So people have to make better types of technology, which
Okay,
decreases
so-
errors.
The Hall evidence is the only evidence in the 1AC about naming the patient. C, Gonzalez, Esmizalde, all of them are just like the AI needs to be held accountable.
Yeah,
All
and
of them say
accountability is
compensation
more than
key.
money.
Okay, why is okay, what's the differential between having compensation for the harm and having compensation plus naming the plaintiff? What is the
I just
differential
explained
here?
it. It's about feeling like you've received some sort of justice.
Yeah,
for
but
the
why does
error that was
why
committed.
does the feeling of justice
Because you
necessary
can't
to use the AI? Why would people
Because
just stop
you're
using the
thinking
AI?
about it, you're not thinking about it in the medical context. In a medical context, when people are making like very emotional, risky decisions to accept surgeries, it is a little bit less than like the go-to intuitive answer. There are a lot of emotions wrapped up in it, and being told that your only recourse to medical malpractice is money is not enough because people have that vested emotional interest in seeing whoever harmed them held accountable.
Okay.
Which is distinct from like other forms where sure you could just get the money, it's different in medical context.
Place everything.
Alright, should be set. No fault, advantage 2, advantage 1.
Sorry.
No faults, advantage 2, advantage 1.
I'm with whomever.
We're good to go? Cool. The counterpoint solves the case and clarifies that doctors are only liable, they don't follow the app standard of care and compensate victims through state funding compensation fund when doctors are not liable to certain evidence it solves. The counterpoint streamlines suits if the harm to a patient occurred because of a doctor, the doctor is sued. If the harm is traceable to a manufacturer, the manufacturer is sued. If neither party can be held liable and no fault, insurance fund pays damages. What they call uncertainty is just fact finding. Emory was extremely clear when it's cross-sex. There'd be a clear, definable, obvious standard of care for the developers of AI. The human doctors treating the patient, the AI is only liable if those standards are met. That proves any fact finding, uncertainty, or complexity deficits linked equally to the app. The counterpoint just specifies the redress mechanism as a compensation fund instead of tort suits against AI, which maximizes certainty. It's key to innovation, which sufficiently compensates victims for accidents, which encourages uptake. The affirmative institutes a new legal regime that no lawyer knows how to use, that produces no confidence. Every lawsuit inevitably confronts causation and negligence. Happily, in 28 revolutionary medicine, however, letting concerns of effects attack on trust between doctors and patients, they are not permitted object of trust under any foreign account. This is an AI displaced the atmospheric authority of human collision. They have produced a deficit. Patients are more likely to accept their physicians from judgment if they have a trust. They are more likely to participate in research, adherence, treatment, or in the physician. AI systems are adopted another tool. The clinician's disposal. The effect and trust of even patients would rely on accuracy of tools, but their choice to be safe in the judgment of the human who interprets outputs and incorporates them into their own clinical judgments. 2EC1 permutation to both links into benefit requires vesting duties in AI, which links to other instances of personhood. 2EC2 linked into benefit does not. The counterplan does not require naming the AI as the defendant. It's not confer legal duties or the ability to be sued in AI. It imposes the duty of care on the manufacturers and the doctors using the AI, not the AI itself. So it avoids the aforementioned precedent links. 2EC3 permitted the counterplan separates the counterplan does not vest legal duties in AI. Merely establishes no fault liability insurance that operators of the AI must fall under. Vesting rights and duties and new legal personalities require specifying the exact rights and obligations. The counterplan can't be the app. Rights and 17 divisibility. Raise the question of rights and duties of the system ensured for we ensure resolve rights with this level rather than treating persons all or nothing. The legal system when they say specifically rights and obligations, it does not. The system will struggle to make sense of for legal personality that being specific so legal personality is the black box. 2EC4 innovation 1 counterplan solves it. Current liability frameworks are unclear and risk penalizing manufacturing through strict liability. The counterplan uses the exact same standard of care and fact finding process as a plan. It establishes manufacturers liable. They fail to meet that standard in the compensation fund that pays for that standard of care is met. That assuages manufacturers' concerns and means that they would be incentivized to develop medical AI. They would escape liability if they met their standard of care, so they do not fear being sued. 2. The counterplan solves liability better. Insurance is rebalanced in a way for manufacturers to develop best practices. Malia and all 21. Insurance rebalance liability. Insurance level to approve research to themselves. Insurance understand the industry and committed and testing the requirements of bans. Insurance will reward users for selecting more effective AI programs. Insurance fulfills AI not-charge for growth, liability cost, filling practices for indemnity, provide certainty. The affirmative is worse for predictability, only using the assisting legal structure ensures uptake that maintenance in 20 by holding the algorithms themselves liable is uncontroversial for from clear algorithms, so that's why the conditions of person culpability, the who propose of action cause converge fix obstacles, no answer when to hold algorithms accountable algorithms that people feel coerced, of course, would require the swing of sledgehammer, the surgical approach that will trust on because legal struggle avoids the challenges of holding algorithms accountable. The next argument was trust. 1. I'll answer the first 1. Accountability. 1. The counterplan solves patient trust better. The idea that people care about revenge more than money is asinine. People would be more morally vindicated by solving the suing the doctor that used the AI or the firm that manufactured it. Their evidence establishes that clinicians want to hold the AI responsible, not that they also need to be held legally liable. It also solves their AI winter, or companies will develop bad AI arguments they're kind of getting at in cross-sex in the world of the app. They'd argue that's deterred by insurance premiums. The counterplan establishes a duty of
care for the manufacturer that exposes them to liability if they are careless in the AI's development or participate in medical malpractice. Plus, no one would purchase unsafe AI. There's an equivalent incentive to develop a safer, better, more effective AI once the compensation regime is clear and certain. There's just not a large impact of this aspect of the deficit. 2. The counterplan installs public confidence in compensation. Yoshikawa. 19. AI will cause injury shifting the liability of each to not be surprising. Public insurance fear social insurance scheme that can result for injuries regardless of all bounds of the public's interest in receiving AI benefits with victims. Interest in just compensation will maintain public confidence and support the growth of AI industries. 3. The counterplan will always be better than the affirmative. People don't trust AI liability. 11. 21. We investigate how people's attitudes towards clash of legal doctrines and personal becomes too detached from folk conception. The law becomes unfamiliar for those who behave and to regulate participants just enemies and liable under business models. Human agents were deemed responsible in this after survive fighting some trade conflict between desire to punish and ultimate agents and perception. Punishment would not be successful aggravated by unrealistic grant what is needed to punish them. There's just a conflict between the holistic reaction to harms caused by system or their feasibility versus not believe punishing nature would satisfy. Deterrence 2 is complexity to the extent that their evidence speaks to concerns over liability, all in the context of navigating the complexity of liability suits. No fault solves. It makes that simple because anyone could just file a claim for the compensation fund to seek redress. It also links more to the affirmative because torts are a nightmare for victims. Yoshikawa 19. The tort regime suffers from weaknesses. Parties undergo multi-year litigation processes of incisively legal fees, courts where damages as a lump sum as a result of benefits which result in systematic evaluation of injury cost. Product designers are often underserved and which be small. Therefore, law is an uncertain fishing cost allocation regime, nothing more. The uncertainty of a new legal regime means no one would know how to use it. Langani 19. There's more reluctant to utilize medical AI than a human provider. Differences in performance can explain results in resistant medical AI when there is superior certified evidence for resistant medical AI emerges across a variety of medical domains. Next argument, rule of law, add-on 1, 0 chance to solve adopting conservative regulation thumbs and their evidence about international arbitration, which is totally separate from medical AI, which is kind of 11 speaker vote. The U.S. record levels of polarization, disinformation is all-time highs. No chance medical AI is a linchpin. 2, counterplan solves it better. All the above cards demonstrate the act is a more unprecedented sea change in the legal system. 3, dead now. Abra Thur, Puke 21. American democracy has been eroding for a decade. The U.S. has dropped from 943 largest to calamity democracy. 0 countries democratic plans to Trump phenomenon. It's a large picture of data suggests 3 problems. Unequal treatment for VOC, partisan polarization, money, politics, unequal treatment is one of the most enduring findings. Reduce slavery and segregation, direct theft, fairness, elections, validation, political mobilization, harassment, other democracy, bifurcation, drives to the extremes, where Germany is a key driver of the U.S. and special interest, influence of politics, finally, conditionality. The practice is good. This was 5 seconds of the 2 we see, not a complete argument. Any extension will be new. 1, neg flex, and negs always react to the act, it's who we are. And its infinite proud condo restores equity. 2, negation, the neg lays disproof the act, condo simulates negation from testing from multiple angles. Yeah, their interpretates clash by instant indication of contradiction. 3, critical thinking forces smart tweezy choices. Adaptation and logic, also tweezy cross clearation, vague choice, and vague plans for logic. The judge should endorse the best policy from the counterplan is bad, it's not true, the plan is good, also justifies judge kick. Now, the trust advantage. 1 and 2, 1. The act does not solve patient trust. Patients do not opt out of AI to healthcare because they fear not being able to sue the AI. They distrust AI because they can't account for their unique personal circumstances. Surveys demonstrate patients will always choose a human doctor even if they're informed. It puts them at greater risk of an inaccurate diagnosis. That's Langani. It's irrelevant if you can get paid for damage if you're scared of your doctor. 2, their study ignored most of the population. Lists tons of all cuts in the clinical trial participation, which is the 1C recutting of the 1AC evidence that starts with an E that I can't pronounce. 3, people who don't think AI can make good decisions. Langani et al. 21, resistant AI poses a challenge to all speakers. The adoption of medical AI has much to do with negative perception of AI with their unrealistic positive views of human providers who are reluctant because they don't believe they can understand how AI makes decisions erroneously. They don't understand how humans, little consumers, understand the medical AI rise to its conclusion. Participants overestimated how well they thought human doctors made decisions. 1 and C5, they don't solve it. There's a distinct difference between modeling disease, which is done behind closed doors by quote corporate stakeholders that have enough data, and changes in government policy versus doctors utilizing AI to an operation on patients. Modeling is not dependent on patient trust or 1C not evidence specific AI denies its predictive capacity as being useful in forecasting pandemics. Finally, no disease impact biological studies confirm the pathogens don't cause extinction to become less relative to the spread. Death rates are strong, high enough to allow the population, and appears so strongly negative or word evidence. Disease does not cause extinction. Hull said 19 pathogens not likely to cause extinction for 2,000 years without exterminating with evidence that rates low outbreaks do not come close. Even a boon for the economy. Disease only contributed to the extinction of a small minority. This only confirmed case of a million. Extinction of rat native to Christmas Island. Native collectors increase immunity by increasing exposure lowers virulence rates of infants and medicines and limit the damage. Adaptation, immunity, and burnout. Shram 18. Humans survive disease in the past life. Definitely only a portion of the population. No extinction. Viruses can thrive only if humans survive. If the disease kills humans, spread the disease will adapt to us. Just as we are adapting to it, there were humans who are naturally immune to disease to keep us going. If humans were not, so spread out. Fear of extinction would be disease would be realistic. There are only people in the cutoff that would find that they are the only ones left. Status quo solves through phage innovations. Through 18 pages, infected killed by bacteria. The phage injects into bacteria. Comes self-failure. Just tossing chemicals and rupture. The bacteria reducing it in children are unlikely to disrupt beneficial microbes. Phage are kill antibiotic resistant bacteria. Maybe agents bacteria develop biofilm that protect from antibiotics. Phages are such biofilm. Mark the current biofilm. Advantage 1, the innovation advantage. No provider uptake, even if all causes, because doctors want to be able to understand AI decisions and they don't have enough data or expertise now. 1 in 112, 50 doctors are AI, which innovation cannot possibly overcome. Those are gold form evidence. 2, regulation is Goldilocks now. The sector is cautiously adopting AI that's proven to perform effectively and avoid fake diagnoses. There's only a risk the act disrupts that, developing less safe iterations of medical AI. That's not happening in COVAC. It's not the status quo. The opener that claim that AI innovation is chilled now to the liability concerns of the act, versus those that demonstrate that manufacturers are risk averse and will not develop unsafe AI now. Regulatory barriers are an all cause. Goal for 22 issues that arrive from regulatory barriers trying to be difficult to collect data. 2, difficult to treat AI models for approval takes time for financial screening use and navigate
healthcare is more cautious than other industries. While adoption dependent on medical professionals, AI threatened to replace their shortage warnings about losing their jobs. Also, 9 leaders that do not recognize their benefits. 1-6, biodiversity interlink is silly. They drop there's no interlink between human medicine and toxicology, which is about waste removal and gene editing on plants. The scenario cannot withstand scrutiny. Global causes like warming, a declining food supply, overfishing, unpredictable weather patterns. Gene therapies are not the linchpin of global biodiversity. The AP evidence isolates species rates having declined 68% in the past 4 decades, so there's no break for their impact. Finally, no environment or biodiversity impact. That's their creative evidence. Food Web 3 wire by designating new species and middle feeders. Species don't give up and die. Local shocks do not cause global biodiversity losses, and our evidence cites comparative data, self-correction checks, no tipping points, can't say teen life. So adaptable thousands of species make it through whatever reports the resilience of the long-term. It makes no sense that there exists a tipping point. No biodiversity loss beyond with year for the last 110 year with Duke University. There is an evidence of a point at which lost species leads to ecosystem glass globally, even locally class of the Korean and Triassic. And when I collapse down, no global tipping points. Montoya at all 18 tipping points are fatally flawed. Global extinction rate is undefined. PB arguments move away from that street statement where avoid evidence arbitrary nature. PBs have no insight, have no evidence, and are too vagrant. Remote pernicious policies.
Can we take a second of that?
Yeah.
I've no.
Oh, 750. 750.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
735.
Okay. The no fault counterplan. Who do patients sue when they think something is wrong with like their treatment?
Either the hospital employing the AI or the manufacturer of the AI itself.
Okay, so let's say I, initiate a lawsuit against the hospital, and the hospital does what?
The hospital defends that it has met its standard of care to the patient.
How if it doesn't have access to the code that the AI uses?
Well, the hospital knows everything that it did in employing the AI, so
okay,
it
sure.
can.
So then, if the hospital did nothing
the hospital's
wrong,
code is like the AI's code is not the hospital's fault, so that wouldn't be
okay, so then
relevant to medical malpractice
if the
beyond just what a
manufacturer
reasonable
is
individual would have done.
if the manufacturer is sued.
Well, if the manufacturer is sued, then again you assess whether the manufacturer did everything that they could have in their standard of care to the patient.
How do you do that?
By assessing the actions, like in the same fact-finding process as the affirmative, you assess whether or not.
When I see evidence says they need to be able to name the AI as a defendant to get access to the logs, so I'm confused how the counterplan does that.
I mean, if it's relevant for the case, then the fact-finding process of the judicial system would bring that evidence to the court. It is not really
So
relevant.
after
who's the
that
plaintiff.
happens and they determine the manufacturer did not commit the fault, do they just stop there and they assume that it was the AI without figuring out that it was the AI, or are they like, okay, this
Right,
is
if all
the issue
relevant
with the
parties
AI?
have met their standard of care to the patient, then no full compensation fund then pays.
Okay, so what's stopping people from just initiating lawsuits when nothing went wrong?
They would lose.
Why? If they'd be like, the
Because the
hospital did nothing
standard of-
wrong, the manufacturer did nothing wrong.
Because there were no damages that occurred, so there has to be something that went wrong, so there have to be damages that have to be paid out.
Sure, so then, okay, so then they just get money and there's no fault attributed, and
But
the
if nothing
question
went
of whether or
wrong,
not
you're
the
gonna
AI
get
was
money.
responsible is just never, is it just assumed by the people? Like, are people supposed to assume what went wrong then? Was there artificial intelligence?
Well, the no-fault compensation
Like, it
fund
seems like
would
the legal
pay out
process
in
kinda just
damages
randomly
that are
stops.
caused by medical AI employed in the healthcare industry. The purpose of the no-fault compensation fund would be to pay out damages. It's not like legally in the case the AI would be named as the plaintiff and you'd receive tort damages that way. But people know that the reason why the no-fault compensation fund
I'm
exists
confused how
is
this
for
doesn't link to
unforeseeable
any
harms
diss
from
that you
AI.
have about AI personhood being bad, because it is creating an entirely distinct legal category for artificial
No, it doesn't.
intelligence. Sure, it
The
isn't rights and
counterpart creates no
duties.
legal
Sure,
category.
it isn't rights and duties, but it says we're going to go through this fact-finding mission, and then if AI commits harm, it can be insulated from
Well,
that.
how do you think the status quo works? The status quo is
The
basi-
doctors are held liable through product or strict liability.
the doctors are held liable, but if the doctor meets its standard of care to the patient,
The doctors are still held liable.
it doesn't matter. Like the liability process changes, but it doesn't affect the legal status of artificial
No, it
intelligence.
doesn't change the status, but
Then
I'm asking in
what's the
effect
relevant
how is it
link to
not the
that
exact
benefit?
same thing?
because the affirmative vests duties in AI, the counterplan does not. Like
But
that's
it
a
creates
legal
distinct
distinction
category.
between the plan and the counterplan that changes how the compensation process, how liability is allocated after the counterplan.
I don't think that that's
And matters a
true.
lot in terms of the precedent that would be adopted by courts after the plan.
Okay. I was thinking about. It's the consultative rulemaking counterplan, shareholder privacy, automation, rights group. Is everyone good to go?
I'm sorry, I need the word one more time.
Sure. Consultative rulemaking,
Mm-hmm.
shareholder primacy,
Mm-hmm.
automation, rights creep. Good now? Cool.
Kick it not going for theories of reason reject the argument, shareholder primacy, kick it not going for all the terms are not unique because corporate power is status quo, theories of reason reject the argument, automation today concede, no econ impact not going for right street, one, rogue AI always on magnitude, infinite AI, possesses awareness and consciousness, was leads them to try and place with myths, even if AI does to super intelligence, boxing AI, machine control sensor to avoid errors along the innovation process, which creeping rights protection for AI, literally worse than the tool says that infinitely causes extinction via social manipulation, electronic warfare, and WGMD using against humanity, second, it turns the case, it will pursue a positive feedback loop of procuring political power that will enable it to subvert the government, Pisciano, 16 equals created somebody wars, and a total collapse of AI can stage order whose out of simulation feed, exponentially chaos, which would be provided with judicial, legislative action, MA, critical, has like human story, stuff, MA, can access, unprecedented level of information, MA, take control of the House, one of the bodies who lobbying, obscure, pro-MA, legislation, lead to positive feedback, look at with more power, because more centralized, easier for the MA, take control of the world, anthropology, generate, under our judicial system, 3, straight charge, both advantages, AI power in the 11th speed, medical AI will be more likely to cause disease if it determines humanity is not relevant, or worse, the drag on production, 2C1, was personificated like accountability, 1, this is a liability shown answer, which is relevant to spillover link about rights being unique to the bad, that we explained below, 2, liability, alone is instead testing, killing 19%, how the benefits exposure, relieve the decision, not whether you leak set for AI, not be made of taste, scope of AI, so to a certain great person, this is advice, I think this is safety means on this over barely scripts or game person who would take against for AI, good advice, this would advance to be autonomous, 38, the autonomous operator, short and I responsible for 18 computers, we not be the smooth, was because I was accurate device, more without being status, as a machine cannot take part with you operate without a human giving rights, when other already claims they are responsible for community price, laws governing AI, 4, AI, liability can't replace safety, when there's only another way safety where first materializes the person responsible for writing issue, liable with literally with great resistance, much ethics and any something with the technology equal with humans and all, for them the same rights to lose the difference between humans and things like AI liable, the AI itself liable would have means would have funds, 2AC2 is deterrence, 1 the uniqueness for containment and safety assured now Johnson, and then 22 solutions for any incident failures, the first line of defense, the license, British security, the reverse technique of person consuming as the British government, the second achieve safety reserves the Martians assured not necessary are accurate device free metacognition can enable system self-awareness or shift into more than the fourth a safeguard evaluation for audit training for operators warnings and ongoing evolution is predictable behavior memory enables AI to refine its own process tailored the individual AI system true no deterrence AI does not care about death or fines it's a total of their argument is presumptuous human centrism 3 framing issue that checks that would prevent AI risk from snowballing eliminated when rights are given to the system for 21 last day of the 70 is legally enforceable rights are simply powerful consequences of service and time under recommended research the necessary rights which the tools and problems can easily rush out for pretty powerful entities developing AI to be absolved accountability 4 AI cannot be friendly because of accident complexity mossy obviously ethics wrong for the safety was really show that we not be under second of no punish machine safety trees AI has like representing your concern specification AI should remain as far as first humans humans are inconsistent second even if we have static values we would have to accept a lot of learning challenges as well enforce values all have bugs and malfunction because of external hardware is unlikely that friendly AI will be used before a general system because of complexity the only examples here is external likely the opens from the list 5 AI is not aligned or misaligned instead will have a difficult time assessing human interests and moral can be guaranteed try die for boxing and policy 15 norms and on computers are correct code can never present we do not need ethics we need safety in the law but I think the long run has except for law enough great values of flame, demons, AI safety scheming, simulated legal singularity, restricted simulated worlds, and understood under control AI fall under dangerous action be restricted AGIs and could be humans, subject to restriction of a lot of machines will dominate because another self-improvement people will not be dependent on machines related to the consequences for humankind. 2C3 was no link. 1. The plan alone causes extinction. Just Dr. AIs having more power is worrisome because they command vital health resources. If human survival was not in their interest, they can simply refuse to treat a pandemic. Proves relevant, straight turns the case. 2nd, yes, over small changes to legal duties have a snowball effect. Questions like whether AI can sue and what interest it has a knock-on effects that cost up to the right. 3, no examples. Only other things that's ever gotten person known as corporation, which was supposed to be limited for efficiency reasons, but solely clubbed into speech, religious, and property rights. Has been shown to you that answers there were condo evidence, which is a descriptive account of how a person could theoretically be limited for evidence in practice it won't be forced. There are other parties total nonsense. This is an amicus brief asking if one person can be held liable for another and for the purposes of bankruptcy has nothing to do with spillover. And then the precedent set in court cases by the planned corporate personhood also empirically denies this check. 2 EC code is 21 and then it should be subject to liability for the wrong of another apart from the charge of bankruptcy. 5, endowment liability spills over rights 21 law because considered what AI should be a person running away making a liable represent the central. And then we can bring AI as a subject also endowment AI with 1800 laws around limited artificial rights to merge technologies and blockchain nor plans into corporate personhood including autonomous physical achievement. It's not illegal to requires no looking beyond the official corporate rights to artificial person more broadly. 6, drawing a line is impossible. Problem 20 what that's law with the intention who can be a person the person over AIs requires a fundamental shift in the definition of the shift is hiding with the rapid development of technologies now has an knock-ons other implication of the system or indirectly person the worst will be deciding what level is enough alignment to draw so with this line drawing how uncertain we are with the boundaries of person what through areas of good reacting to the risk of non-human 7 cascade the full person into like a 19 row grant person to receive only the person of the bearer of duties of any entity as rights with the law to any person who is out as I say would give the rights to happen with the click of a finger. Final argument is AGI inevitable such no impact. 1, this was so blippy and not warranted. The 1 hour attack in the sandbag. The block strategy was based on 2AC error, which did not read any impact defense. 2nd, AGI is inevitable. These are relevant. The question is whether or not AI can rain blocks. 3, the plan uniquely causes the impact legal entity designation. This is the only way for the algorithm to engage with legitimate economic activity. The block 18 algorithm control the entity is the essence of the danger results in the combination of their an entity was algorithm or human control. Algorithm presents such a great that what they cannot do without controlling entities and participate in economic political activity. An algorithm cannot engage in business accumulate what they're dealing with people. The algorithm cannot need entities with the crime of the algorithm. Alone cannot use proceeds of my property, contract over doing sue or buy stuff. Algorithms use fake humans and a number of entities easily withdrawing without violating the law. The aids in general criminal beings there the business criminal. 1 access to legitimate world laundering is the link up with power powers to regulate. 4, containment is feasible. Try to act rights officers when this. 12, method can be used to control AI capable controls the obvious way and Joe confined dying interaction difficulty after effect of one of this. It's easy hours of box I don't want to get this with heritage trying to keep supposed to deny AI research manipulated cameras mitigated measure do not create AI resist AI after each change of birds AI from building a long-term plan structural to humans. 4, safety can be guaranteed by designing strict limits and overseeing AI from 20 FHI publishes devising norms to ensure beneficial AI research and control our contributors is the safety with emphasis on specification robustness with limits and a monitoring system with our afraid we be doing our homework over the entities have rights and access to research which causes extraterritorial criminal takeover blocking 18 competition terrorists and with impairing the ability to address affect the risk we know regulation enables everything from terrorists money laundering disruptive visual enabling with catastrophic contribute persons on an autonomous computer algorithm would include privacy property council legal arbitration experience of the next will be criminal and pricing out fear country death meaning expert human level AI by 2014 many characters most serious survival of humanity fully active eccentric across the effectors to convert identity on the algorithm.
Sorry, algorithm ended up.
Or no, this card.
7:35. Sorry.
You don't need to say any more of those. I've seen that to you. And guys, I think that case start. Did you read that? Yes. Yeah. Can I see? That should go after the military, but I don't know. Or honestly, just like sandwich it in the middle of someone. Yeah, perfect. And then also the edges. Okay, we can read this card. If there's like any card you skip, just not read this one. was thinking more cards, just put them at the very bottom of the dock. I'll put them like extra.
Can you hand me some too?
Okay, I'll just go with them. Okay, you can.
Edit 225. Margaret's missing out. Or there's 2 docs, so Margaret's missing out one last time.
I have 3 documents called for Lucas. I don't know which it is. I put my jewel in my bag because I was like, I want to look so professional, like not fake, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm already like a little credibility disadvantage here, like, especially maybe during the debate. I can't find it now and I really want it. And also I was like, Tyler's not gonna fucking care.
Don't think so.
He's a punk.
Sorry, I got stupid lost.
Okay. Jeez. Oh my god, I'm gonna get a Coke after this.
I was.
That's the one thing living in Georgia got me hooked on Coke.
I
I never
really-
drank it as a kid.
Oh my god. I'm good for order.
Trust advantage, innovation advantage, counterplan design.
Cool.
Okay. I'm good now.
We choose all of the example given donuts to have vengeance, overcorrects, overcoats, all of them. There's mother highlights on take out the internal link just so that people want a doctor to oversee the AI and its use, and that they don't just AI alone without even having to oversight. But there's not the out the Lagani card that misses the point that the trials are voluntary. This card is descriptive of AI broadly, but the trials be voluntary, which is enough to same off with AI winter. Yes, modeling, they consider that corporate stakeholders, which is the example that they give, is good from the other kind of plan, but it does solve because it's a question of innovative capacity, which I have conceded from the other advantage. The disease called extinction, long incubation period, can interconnect transport means they quickly kill millions, even people survive the initial waves. Ripple effects called extinction, causes economic decline, concentrating global politics. That's Pamela. All their cards are pre-COVID. Ours are from this year. You should prefer recency when ours are experts, and theirs are just making generalizations. The Cobra card is about pediatrics. The Hassel card is about natural pandemics, and the Stram card concedes that it's an issue. The pages don't solve. There's the evidence about antibiotic resistant bacteria, not maybe pandemics. The innovation advantage. Concede biology defense. The other stuff is resolved through the internal link and the other advantage. So the counterplan do both. The counterplan and the plan imposes a duty occurs to the patient. The counterplan creates a separate legal category for artificial intelligence because the course credit card back to the fact that determination that protect artificial intelligence, which is functionally the same thing as granting variance that benefit is psychological benefit the app and the solves better argument. No fault is worth for trust in the status quo because nobody is held accountable. 1. Accountability. Patients need to be able to name the AI as a defendant, to feel comfortable with accepting choosing care. Counterplay makes them extremely rank 3 separate truths. That's keep the same of A. Withdraw that heavily in Hall 2. Complexity. Good. Counterplay causes illegal good shades that makes seeking damages prohibitively. Causes that concomitants. 3 is expediency. Streamlines the resolution process. We're still holding liable. Party responsible. That's not how the patient needs. That's C. All that matters for the internal link because it's a question of AI. Winter. It's not just a question of getting redress. It's a question of the investment I trust within the system. That's Richard's going on 121. A. Pictures learned about A. Significant variance. Examination. Ports of patient engagement. Ensure that technology is first public just a big stuff. Here's the consumer the response of the area. Which are patients beneficiary needs important insurance. The advances developed in ethical way rated for the card. The Milio card business card early about innovation doesn't apply. The first is Chicago card. They dropped the internal link to innovation. It would limit out bad AI, include good AI. Only other word is computation, but more like how to be ways of tall evidence and their explanation of the automation link and cross-X. The Marchiso card, the internal link, isn't just damages or redress. It's about misdiagnosis, accountability, and belief within the system. No moral obligation from suing the doctor or hospital. Those lawsuits would fail in a world where those who didn't mess up and patients would be left without any recourse. Psychology physics counterplay doesn't solve Mulligan. It's illegal to trigger the rest of the law when it comes to psychological benefits of the victim versus negative robots necessary. Because they're also the decisions of appeals to the government bodies for the negative restrictions, psychological benefits are going to create the accountable monitoring is just to prevent the suffering that would render recognized because they're also not trying to be good to me no legal firms fail to classifications of facing but no imagine me even bailing the offender object in the kind of a suggested accurate the Longani card. People trust AI. The card is selectively highlighted. It says that people don't want to hold AI liable because they don't know they grant assets, which is a requirement of the plan. The tort is hard for plaintiffs. The plaintiffs, the tort law argument it doesn't link to us, doesn't assume the medical malpractice law, which patients are already familiar with. The other Chicago card, I answered that above. The dissent. Person notes all about AI. 1. Flexibility. It gives, of course, necessary leeway to respond to new technologies and hold the AI accountable when it diverges from human interest. That saying means the overview card is wrong because it would be adaptive and socialized. 2nd is deterrence. Removes any incentive for the developers of risk-making AGI because the possible financial losses causes increased hesitancy in development. That's habit. 3. Plan only spills over positive duties. That's summarizes accountability. Put Galloway to the positive narrative AI robots representing unaccountable rights by later empirical issue concerning how legal system privately give the legal issue that AI robots and controlling them accountable should be partly that AI robots simulate liable issue applies to arguments and confusion between legal issue and AI robots, the legal person and legal judgment, fair person independently accountability. 4. Speed, person usually with a data rapid advancement that answers the Kelly card. He said 19 I'm considered status for AI important regulator according to ruling that such a person has to make sure that AI will maintain kind of all regulations the same bad understand about the property company stuff pretty like code legal wife and recourse. 5. Regulation person results in more rights hard to be able to personality protection the other because about the 30 year protect the person the cause of 30 to 30 minutes right to go to regulation on the same goal regulation back to humanity safe socialization that's external to tort laws which is what all the lecture about just 20 years so that she would tell us and value legal person actually with her socializing and drop with the most piece of human preferences of those law private achievement those regional tone for the legal system more education and contribute to liberal to equal over the encourage to still retaliate break the logic about polarity and processing and actually sitting on as legal system enforcing normative regime. Now AGI is inevitable protection from just 6 years ago were drastically underestimated. AI is outpacing every expectation on improve exponentially. Jafari service top service expert in the field and media production was AGI by 2029. Their only example was this is the AI risk bad decide, not the AI bad decide. That doesn't matter when the link turn is about race. Expert because that's still Maggie 2022. AGI has actually been the century for 99% space margin running singularity by 2016. AGI most accuracy and intelligence fixing the reverse and produce past matter regarding the exponential rate. Also, they conceded the awkward cross moment when they said that AGI exists now. That proves our argument because it will be only developed now in the future. Now, there's no impact uniqueness. Conceded the turn evidence on the anno, which is uniqueness for the link turn, says that rogue AI is inevitable because courts aren't able to hold AI liable in the status quo because manufacturers get off free by saying they couldn't predict the AI's behavior. Liability shield answers the spillover descent and vice versa. The Kelly card. 1. Not a liability shield answer. They said that manufacturers get off free that rights are good for accountability purposes because it imposes equal duties. 2. Kelly's bad. Conceded the Abbott evidence that manufacturers have financial incentive to not test harmful technology because they'll be punished for selling bad tech. 3. The W evidence. It's quoting one unnamed person's opinion for why AI should be giving personhood, and it doesn't matter if people shift to blame on AI's plan if the odds have a way that they can be held accountable for it. Liability doesn't exist now, which is for the next 3 cards. Cases are villain bad tech up. 21. Like algorithm operating boy picking increasing autonomy to legal personality causation liability intelligence penalty way such as self defense. Activity operations and semi research the connectivity with the human error can be respect the human algorithm the decision on discover codes can assign responsibility of the actual that developer agency phenomenon for requires for any type of reason that the increase of the organization like hard to happen to get the question of person. The Johnson evidence says that manufacturers code stopgap if their system is shut down if they're do something bad. They can do that post app, but this card does not say that lawsuits are effective now. The Burhan card doesn't have any warrants. It isn't about AI. The Yapolsky card says we can't program AI to be 100% safe 100% of the time. That's not an argument. It's a question of not programming, but rather socializing in alignment within the system of the law. Framing issue, they need to have uniqueness for all the links. Either ways, they don't outweigh the link turn, which are all unique.
couldn't remember. Oh, I don't think I ever sent out the Ben Tech card. Let me do it in the email. I don't think it was in the document.
Oh, okay.
I just put that card in the email chain, sorry. I didn't see that it wasn't in the doc.
DA, no fault counterplan, the innovation advantage, and then the trust advantage. Good to go?
Sorry, it's the disad, then no fault, then innovation.
Disal, no fault, yeah. And then advantage 1, advantage 2.
Okay, I'm good.
Good. Cool. Personal person for medical AI cause extinction courts of legal status to possess standing litigation delineation, hold duty to care cards that estimates the legal system that legally empowers AI's autonomous actors with the ability to engage in the external world. So Tola says that alone is sufficient to cause extinction. Not all AI can be aligned now. AI's legal status will gradually expand and afford them the ability to sue, accrue property, and financial assets, propagate disinformation, influence elections, and be conferred the sameness with society, which is Tola says is definitively existential. A drop that turns the case. Legally empowered AI will take over the government, disrupt the governmental system by seizing political power. It's an independent scenario for extinction as per 1R. But Soto in turns both advantages by ending the legal regime's ability to oversee medical AI. Finally, it obviously turns into a trust scenario because maliciously empowered AI, even short of full personhood, would undermine people's faith in AI's technology broadly, especially in the medical sector. 1AR1, personhood solves bad AI. 1, framed by a minimal answer to our liability shield turn. AI duties cause the development of unsafe AI liability. Stops testing. Kelly cites experts to say legal status for AI disincentivizes developers and owners of AI from testing at levels that contain risk. Duffy says that operators have an incentive to shirk responsibility, and Wenhur says it's a safety risk because even if operators are engaging in good faith, knowing AI's legal duties means they'll shift blame onto it when inevitable dangers arrive. 2, the Kaplan solves the impacts, but doesn't link because it resolves all the reasons personhood could be key to contain unsafe AI. 3, we agree that links require uniqueness and odd standard to advance, given the 1AR failed to read one for the link turn after the 1AR read several. For them to win this, they need to conclusively win that unsafe AI will be developed and deployed now. 1AR did not meet that standard because the only unique argument they forwarded was AGI Neville. Might be true, but the question is whether it is contained in boxing, which we litigate later. 3, or Johnson Evans says there are plenty of fail-safes due to system design, additive reserves, trained data sets, procedural safeguards, and evaluations. This code also gives operators an incentive to program AI to self-learn from errors, which then ensures containment now. Armstrong says there are several methods that include jailing, deny interactions, placing the Faraday cage, and resets. And Piper cites global norms and institutions that have recruited the top AI researchers to monitor and establish limits. 3, 4, framing issue for winning the turns is that even if the plan is theoretically effective, rights and duties undermines every check that could be developed for AI. Rights are power over legal construct. That's short-circuits democratic debate and research necessary for accountability measures. That's Burhane, the 1AR dropped all of our evidence that says the grades of one duty mean full personhood, so it cannot be the limited set of duties that Regallo evidence describes. Finally, deterrence fails. Jan Poliski says ethics cannot guarantee AI safety because it undermines oversight and prevents us from containing machines. There's no such thing as friendly AI. Only treating a system like product design can ensure the specifications that maintain AI as tools and not killing machines. Next argument, AI inevitable. 1, even if AGI's inevitable rights are not, Google cites experts, including scientists and AI professionals, that says they're not coming now. 2, rights are key to our impacts framing issue is that even if they are right that containment of AI might be imperfect, is try or die again, they have no turn about why rights would make AI net safe, so there's only a risk the plan makes things worse. 3, containment's feasible. Armstrong outlines the measures that I explained above. You should prefer evidence because the Tuisi Jafari evidence is an MBA running on Substack.com, and Armstrong's from an AI researcher listing concrete methods for containment. 4, rights are the only thing that lead to malevolent AI to cause extinction. It's the only thing that allows AI to make and execute decisions in response to external circumstances, engage in economic and political activity, and open bank accounts to commit crimes. Lapuki Yoponsi says there's no way to make AI ethical or line of human values, so let's try it after boxing the first Magala card. Assume limited spillover, that was explained above, and it's wrong. The less 2 card says there needs to be regulations on AI. Lapuki says that those rights make those impossible, that the only safety measures now without rights are effective. Now, the no-fault counterplan solves the entirety of the case, applies the same standard of care as the plan for medical AI. The only distinction is remedy. The plan requires stepping through the extra hoop of personhood. The counterplan just establishes a compensation fund that's run by the government to redress damages. It's simple, it's clear for consumers, and effectively tweaks the legal regime to maximize innovation and uptake. Twinsie, half the evidence in the overview went dropped in this comparative. People trust their doctors more than they do AI, would rather rely on human judgment and being able to sue their doctor. People prefer simpler, certain legal solutions like guaranteed compensation, which should filter the below psychological studies arguments as we ever go for. Finally, remember that all these fact-finding and complexity deficits link equally to the app. They require the same assessment of code and standard of care since human doctors are liable. If those standards are met, that was cross-sex. The counterblend is the same as the app, to the point at which the rights are actually vested. Permutation do both with asinine, including links in the benefit because they dropped the Twinsie competition card, which says the plan is to legally, formally codify rights or duties for AI to be considered vested. The counterblend does not do that, so it's a clear link differential in terms of the precedent that it's set for the judicial system, which they've conceded a link debate on the DA, so they can't get out of that. Only the inclusion of the apps is the apps of legal duties. There are separate legal categories for lots of things. Rivers have a separate legal category in environmental law, doctors do under medical law. That doesn't mean courts will look to that and be like, okay, now we can give non-human things legal rights. All of our cards on the DA distinguish the category of person, and also the counterblend clearly links less, so you should vote negative because it links less in the app for the permutation, so it's the most logical option. Trust deficit going to start with accountability. 1, the claim that someone would need to sue the AI directly is ridiculous. They've dropped the distinction. Their evidence establishes that patients want to hold the AI responsible, not necessarily legally liable. The counterblend means that patients can seek redress in the form of the payout from a compensation fund for misuse of medical AI. That still vindicates that something went wrong with the AI, just doesn't legally establish that the AI as an entity was formally liable or at fault. The Twinsie Yoshikawa evidence says the no-fault scheme is sufficiently assuages public opinion, is sufficient to promote the growth of the industry and supports people's primary interest, which is compensation. 2, psychological studies, ridiculous. None of them assume the aforementioned compensation scheme, which sufficiently ensures redress and ensures people are vindicated. We also have studies going the other way. No answer to the Twinsie Lima evidence, which says that people would prefer not to sue AI because they don't think anyone would actually be punished. If the study and survey of consumers such a little equivalent weight to their evidence and denies their vengeance against robots argument. Finally, there's not really a winning 2AR on the argument that people being able to sue their AI doctor assistant is a linchpin of averting existential pandemics globally. Even when there's some risk of a deficit, there's no impact in nagging infuriation or moral vindication that's tied to a 1AC impact. Complexity is irrelevant. They drop that no-fault is faster, more efficacious, and towards suits which get bogged down for years before the Twinsie Yoshikawa evidence aligned to the existing legal system better so people trust
system more. And there's no AI winter dust, and they drop the care of establish the duty of care for the manufacturer that exposes them to liability if they are careless in the AI development or operate with foreseeable error, and no one would purchase bad AI with features of profit incentive to develop safer ones. Now, the innovation advantage, they kick that in this wrong. They drop there's no uptake of medical AI now. Regulatory barriers hinder adoption of the AI in healthcare. Doctors don't have the data or expertise in the sector is carefully regulating it now. It's gold for obviously leads trust. There's simply not enough to develop AI now to solve disease. Only risk the app disrupts development, creating less safe iterations of medical AI. That was the liability shield turn I explained on the other page. Now, the trust advantage, zero chance the app solves trust. Being able to sue is lasting in patients' minds when making medical decisions. They choose the human because people inherently trust humans more, even informed. Objectively, it puts them at greater risk. Let's go, which is a survey of factors contributing to the resistance to medical AI uptake. Is irrelevant. If you can sue, if you're scared of your doctor, they can't solve pandemics. The biggest difference between AI treating you with a doctor and being able to forecast model effectively coordinate responses to existential pandemics. The difference is huge, especially given a disease will probabilistically emerge abroad or not. Evidence indicates AI is empirically even useless in forecasting diseases. No impact anyway. Studies across multiple timescales confirm they can cause extinction. They burn out. They spread without rates are never close to 100%. And new medicines check that's word and strong health evidence confirm it's limited and outbreaks are resilient.
I make you tell literally everything I just said. But their timer goes off and I turn and look at Lucas and I'm like,
It was the other way around high school. 220.
thanks. Can you already answer that? Oh, no. I wasn't gonna say that. I'm talking about me. It is the innovation advantage, the trust advantage, the counter plan, and then the disad. Anyone not good? You're not good? You said you were, okay. Concede terminal impact defense and not going for things with the no uptake argument does not take out the straight turn. They conceded that even if medical AI does not become super widespread, there are still cases happening now when some people still use medical artificial intelligence to think that the app still generates present. The AI should have rights rights and duties because they have made the argument that it only takes one or two cases to create a long-standing precedent that grants AI full personhood. We have conceded that argument. The trust advantage and also conceding terminal impact defense here. There's nothing on this page that can take out the ability for us to win the link turn because similarly they have no arguments that decrease that contest the argument. There'll still be cases. Otherwise, we would not have a link to the dissent, and you can vote F on presumption, the counterclaim. The counterclaim is relevant because we're going for the straight to the dissent, but they've said the counterclaim provides money but does not grant AI duties, and the entire twin-C crossings on links to the net benefit proves it does not solve the link to the link turn to the dissent. The argument on the dissent that the counterclaim solves the straight turn is not true. They have not won the argument that the legal system effectively contains artificial intelligence in the long term. They only have evidence that they're containing artificial intelligence in the short term, which does not answer our straight turn argument. I'll answer the rest of this on the dissent where the twin made the argument, but I'm just making it clear here that it will be answered down below, and there's nothing else on the counterclaim page that I need to answer because there's zero risk that it solves the straight turn. Let's fill over dissent. They cannot win the debate because we're so far ahead on the question of whether or not the legal system can hold AI accountable in the long term. They have conceded that artificial intelligence development is incredibly fast, and they have not read enough good evidence on the question of whether or not current court cases succeeding in containing artificial intelligence. That makes you willing to take the gamble of granting AI rights because they do not have any other way to contain extremely powerful artificial intelligence that can do all of the things that the twin our Senate could in the future because our judicial system is not equipped with the necessary tools. All of their impact explanation proves that artificial intelligence will be so powerful it's trying to restructure the legal system to be able to contain it because the current legal system will fail all impact framing, and the twin our flips out because it is inevitable in a world of the status quo, and the risk we make things worse is much lower than the risk we make things better. The uniqueness of courts are not finding manufacturers liable now and are not containing AI now, which means the liability shield does not apply post-out, but even if they are now, it does not solve the long-term stuff of the straight term, which is a part of the counterplan. I'll do all that here. AI makes decisions that manufacturers could not foresee, and that lets them manufacturers get off free. The Turner evidence on the add-on was dropped. We point this out in the 1 year the Turner did not answer. Excessive legal system is functionally failing to contain artificial intelligence, and the dropped Bantinka evidence that also in the 1 year that they just completely missed is fantastic on this question. It says that the only evidence that factors in the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence, it says that AI systems, quote, are unpredictable, they are opaque, and they are increasingly autonomous. Quote, these embedded characteristics of AI clash with legal reasoning, and more particularly with notions of causation, fault, intent, and eventually liability. It's making a long-term argument about the ability for the courts to contain artificial intelligence, which is the same argument we made on the rule of law turn add-on on the counterclaim. It goes on to say, quote, the scale and degree in which these qualities appear in AI systems make a distinctive phenomenon for the law that requires particularized legal responses, and says responsibility gap depends upon the question of legal personhood. This is our turn. They're the ones who made the distinction between the dissad being AI bad versus AGI rights bad, which means the whole impact debate is irrelevant because it's just a question of whether or not rights are good or bad, so the impact cannot be the tiebreaker. For the link term, we've gone through their cards in the 1 year. Are the answers to rogue AI inevitable? All assume the legal system can hold somebody liable for harm. Even if they can now, they cannot in the long term, which is our Bantinka evidence and the Turner evidence explicitly says. The argument about self-learning and global researchers, ask yourself why AI having rights means the whole force of the international system fails to hold it accountable, why programmers would stop programming and safeguards into their technology. AI cannot code itself. Somebody has to hard-code it. Programmers can still do that. Post-app, also AI makes decisions now that manufacturers cannot account for, which is our entire argument. It means that current safety measures fail, so there is no such thing as a distinction between AI is okay now and bad. Post-playing the link turn outweighs the link. Two things should filter how you evaluate it. First is the trier dissect. Second is a broad diversity of 1 ER warrants proves that there are a ton of different ways that personhood holds AGI accountable. The neg defense at best it does not means a patchwork of strategies will be deployed and does not assume the death by 1,000 cuts method of containment. The Hart's evidence is phenomenal defense to all the impact grants in the 2 AI is not just randomly granted freedom of speech, ability to hold assets. Yes, it would be bad if it got a full set of human rights, but that is not true because their authors are all drawing that analogy from nature being given rights. The Hart's evidence says that the theory of rights group does not apply to AI because the reason the courts grant rights and duties to AI is to constrain it, i.e. it can have access to lawyers or due process, but only for the sole purpose of being able to find AI guilty in trial. Their evidence says full personhood. It is just using it as a colloquial term. It does not actually mean full personhood. It only give rights for insofar as we can contain them, which answers the impact analysis stuff. That's the hardest part that they did not answer. They also dropped the socialization link turn argument, which is the easiest one to vote AF on. Personhood is the only way the legal system can effectively adapt to regulate artificial intelligence. Socialization answers Lopelki. It creates a normative framework that integrates AI into human society. Socializing them in an atmosphere where they're accepted and given responsibility and will pay dividends. It solves against the risk of misalignment by explicitly giving AI a role in our society and making them know that humans are not a threat to artificial intelligence, so there's no need to do anything that destabilizes financial markets because they know that it is against their own survival, which means they'll embrace human values and not general goal optimization. That's a Chesterton evidence, and it's the best card in the debate on the question whether AI can be regulated or not. 2, flexibility. As AI becomes more autonomous, it'll be way harder to hold manufacturers liable. Personhood creates a legal system that can rapidly determine fault and shut down bad AI way faster than courts can do it now, which means that at least there's a time frame differential. And AI, if the AI evolves so quickly, it will evolve way too quickly for the current legal system to be able to catch up to it, and personhood can contain it much, much quicker. That's the same evidence. 3 is deterrence. Both sides agree that AGI is not about to poof into existence overnight. right? If they are right that AGI with a full set of rights is hard to constrain personhood, prevents us from even getting there by deterring consumers, manufacturers, and developers from making uncontrollable AI in the first place, and encourages them to build in safety measures because even the possibility of AI liability roots financial tenants to take huge risks. That's the Abbott evidence. That's the Abbott evidence. All the evidence of how hard it is to control AI does not assume the existence of personhood. The Bagallo stuff is answered by the HARS evidence. They said it was not in the 2NR. Yes, it does. It says that granting duties and rights enables accountability in the context of AI. The Armstrong stuff, jail, confinement, denying interactions, etc., are all ways that duties would be imposed onto medical artificial intelligence. And it takes out the one-to-one card read in the 2-1-NC, the Faraday cage example. I have no idea what it is, and I've abused. You should not do the mental gymnastics in the 2NR for not explaining the concept. The last thing is they dropped the speed argument. It says that existing legislation and court rulings cannot hold AI accountable, so we need a whole new legal regime. It says that no, not even Congress, who makes laws incredibly quickly, could contain artificial intelligence. Only person who could adopt quick enough, which I forgot the author of, but that's the speed card in the 1AR. Good debate. You're the first person since we gone back in person that's shaking hands.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no one else has. Do you want?
Yep.